Your reaction lets people say, it's slipping in the draft, blah, 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 blah.
They just hate it. They dislike Coach Prime and what he has done for Colorado. So, and they try to take shots at us. We played underneath them. But that's just all it is. They're just hating on us, trying to take shots at us. So, we just did it, just ignore it. We don't care about it. I just talked to him like 2 days ago. Nothing about it.
What do you know about that system with Jacksonville?
All right, you good. My bad. I was hoping that was Shedeur.
But, hey.
You ever see him shine on the biggest stage, still get ignored? Well, Hunter just lit NFL on fire. Not with his play, but his words. During what should have been his moment of glory, this top draft pick hijacked his own press conference to tear into NFL teams for one reason. They snubbed his brother, Shedeur Sanders. And according to Travis, this wasn't just a draft day oversight. It was a cold, calculated message from the league's power brokers. A warning shot aimed straight at Deion Sanders and everything he's building. You ready to hear what really went down? Buckle up. This gets real, fast. You ever hear the phrase, actions speak louder than words? Well, Travis Hunter just proved sometimes words can hit harder than any tackle. It was supposed to be the biggest night of his career. The NFL draft, the moment his lifelong dream turned real. The cameras were rolling, fans were cheering, and Travis. He was the number 2 overall pick, 2nd overall. That should have been the headline, but instead, the spotlight shifted. Not because of what Travis did on the field, but because of what he said off it. In the middle of his own press conference, his own moment, he stops.
I'm also still trying to make sure I don't miss Shedeur, get his name called, because I want to be on the phone and I also want to talk to him, so I'm trying to hurry up as fast as I can.
Because Jacksonville, we can help you on it.
All right, you good. My bad. I was hoping that was Shedeur.
We were too.
He looks down at his phone and says out loud, I was hoping that was Shedeur. Not a joke, not a throwaway line, a real pause in real time, because Travis Hunter wasn't just thinking about himself. He was thinking about his brother. And then he went off. No filter, no PR script, just raw emotion, because the NFL had done something that didn't sit right with him. Shedeur Sanders, leader, record setter, son of Deion Coach Prime Sanders, had just been ignored through the first and second rounds of the draft. And for Travis, that wasn't just disappointing, it was disrespectful. They just hatin'. Travis said they dislike Coach Prime, so they try to take shots at us. You could feel it in his voice. The disbelief, the frustration, the fire. To Travis, this wasn't about measurables, combined stats, or some slick-talking analyst's draft board. No, this was personal. This was political. This was about sending a message, not to Shedeur, but to Deion Sanders, to everything he stands for. The swagger, the confidence, the refusal to play by the NFL's unwritten rules. And you know what? Travis called it like he saw it. He accused NFL owners of straight up bias, not against talent, but against the culture that Deion's built, against the legacy that threatens the old guard. Think about that for a second. One of the most electric players in college football, Hunter himself, is standing in front of the national media, calling out the NFL during his own celebration. Who does that? Someone who's fed up, someone who's seen the system up close, someone who watched his brother dominate Saturdays only to get disrespected on Sunday. Because let's not twist it, Shedeur Sanders didn't just play at Colorado. He owned that field, precision, poise, control. The man wasn't just a quarterback, he was a general. And with Travis Hunter by his side, they weren't just teammates, they were a movement. Colorado football was dead in the water before those two showed up. Let's be honest. But once they arrived, national headlines, packed stadiums, swag, culture, and a whole new standard. These weren't just two dudes making plays. They were dragging an entire program back to relevance. You want to talk about impact? Both of their jersey numbers got retired while they were still in college. That doesn't happen. That's reserved for legends, for icons.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for legendary number 2, Shedeur Sanders. Give it up for one of one, number 12, Hunter.
But somehow, when draft day came, the NFL acted like it didn't matter. Travis was taken second, but Shedeur, he waited and waited and waited. And Travis wasn't having it. He said what a lot of people were thinking, but too scared to say. Shedeur's drop wasn't about talent. It was about perception. The Deion factor. The media circus. The attention. The headlines. The fact that Coach Prime does things his way and makes a lot of old school suits real uncomfortable. And that's what hit different. Because if Shedeur's name wasn't Sanders, if his father wasn't Deion, he might have been a top 10 pick. Easy, but instead, he got buried under whispers, hot takes, and concerns that had nothing to do with football. They said he was unprepared in meetings. Really? The same guy who had 6 different coordinators and never missed a beat? The same guy who elevated every offense he was part of? No, that's not football talk, that's politics. And Travis Hunter wasn't just frustrated, he was furious. You could see it in his eyes, hear it in the way his voice cracked when he talked about Shedeur. This wasn't some media-trained rant, this was love, loyalty, brotherhood. He called it out plain and simple. They didn't want us to win, and maybe he's right, because if you really break it down, what threat does Deion Sanders pose to the NFL? Why would owners, GMs, and execs be nervous? Here's the answer. One says he's different. He's not begging for approval. He's building his own lane. He's got swagger, power, influence, and most of all, results. He took a dead program and turned it into primetime TV. He raised young men, and including his own sons, into leaders, into winners, and that scares people. Why? Because they can't control it. And when you can't control it, what do? You attack it. You start planting stories. You question work ethic. You point at family ties like they're weaknesses instead of strengths. And that's exactly what happened with Shedeur Sanders. But while all the noise swirled, you know what Shedeur did? He stayed quiet. Cool, composed, didn't clap back, didn't lash out. He just smiled, said the critics don't even know him, and focused on what really matters, the field. Because that's the thing about Shedeur. He's built different, not just in skill, but in mindset. He's been under pressure his whole life, cameras in his face since he could walk, and still he walks like he's got nothing to prove, but everything to earn. So when the league tried to shake him, he didn't flinch, he just worked. And guess what? Now he's starting for the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, you heard that right. The same guy the league supposedly overlooked is already making noise at OTAs, already winning respect in the locker room, already proving everyone who doubted him dead wrong. But don't get it twisted, Travis Hunter hasn't forgotten. Not even close. To him, the draft wasn't just about who got picked. It was about who got snubbed and why. He believes it was intentional. A statement, a message sent not just to Shedeur, but to everyone who came through Coach Prime's system. You think you can come in here with your flash and your attitude and your own way of doing things? Cool, but you're gonna pay for it. That's the vibe Travis felt. And now he's coming for revenge, not with tweets, not with interviews, with results. Because if there's one thing we've learned from these two, it's that when you doubt them, they rise. And look, this ain't just some buddy-buddy moment between teammates. This is deeper. Travis and Shedeur, these two aren't just college roommates or star players who happen to share a jersey. They're brothers in everything but blood. They came to Colorado together when everyone said it was a joke. People laughed, mocked them, said they'd get exposed when the lights got bright, and what did they do? They flipped the script, turned a broken football program into the most talked about story in the country. Every week they were the headline. Every week they proved they belonged. Travis locking down WR1s and making highlight grabs on offense. Shedeur throwing dimes, commanding huddles, and acting like he'd been doing it for 10 years. But apparently that still wasn't enough, because while Travis got his flowers, number 2 pick, franchise player, Shedeur had to sit there, watch. Name after name called before his. Quarterbacks with fewer wins, less production, less leadership. You name it, and nobody said it, but we all knew what was happening. It wasn't about the stats. It wasn't about tape. It was about Sanders. About the last name on the back of the jersey. About being the son of one of the most electrifying, unfiltered legends the game has ever seen. Deion Coach Prime Sanders. And apparently in 2025, that's still enough to get you judged, because here's the truth. They weren't just judging Shedeur, they were judging Deion, judging how he walks, how he talks, how he coaches, how he carries himself like he knows he belongs in every room and doesn't care who's uncomfortable about it. That's the threat. And Travis Hunter, he saw it coming, felt it, lived it, because even he's been questioned. Can he really play both ways in the league? Is he special enough at WR to keep that role? Does he have the size to dominate on Sundays? Bro, Travis Hunter just went second overall. You don't go number 2 unless you're a generational type of athlete. But still, they try to poke holes. And that's what makes this whole thing sting, because guys like Travis and Shedeur, they did it the right way. They stayed out of trouble, showed up, worked, led, built something, left a legacy. So strong that Colorado retired both of their numbers while they were still on campus. Think about that. But when the draft came, Shedeur got framed like some diva, like some coach's son writing a name. And let's get real, that's not just unfair. That's lazy. The dude played through more pressure than any QB in the country, took hit after hit behind a broken O-line, still balled out, still showed toughness, still showed leadership. He didn't fold, he thrived. And yet, NFL execs whispered about him like he was some question mark, like he didn't prove everything he needed to. It's wild. And that's why Travis Hunter couldn't stay silent. Not when his brother, the guy he went to war with every weekend, that got treated like an afterthought. He said it plain, they hating on us. Not because of a lack of skill, but because of what they represent. Confidence, swagger, culture, change. And that's uncomfortable for a league that loves its mold, loves its traditions, loves telling players how they're supposed to act. Well, guess what? Shedeur ain't here to fit into a mold. Travis ain't either. They're here to break it, and that's why this isn't over. Not by a long shot, because now Shedeur's in the league, and he's already making noise. OTAs, he's lighting it up. The Browns look like they just stole one. And the same GMs who passed on him, they're gonna be watching from the sideline when he starts carving up. Defenses and Travis, he's on a mission, not just to prove he's worth the hype, but to back up his brother. Because that press conference, that wasn't a slip, that was a statement. It was Travis saying, you tried to silence us. Now you're gonna have to watch us eat. And you better believe Coach Prime heard it too. He kept it classy, but you could hear the edge in his voice when he said teams created narratives and attached them to a kid that ain't never done nothing wrong. That wasn't just a defense of his son. That was a warning to the people behind the scenes who think they can play games with someone's future just to send a message. Well, now the message is coming back in cleats, on the field, and with receipts. Because this next chapter, it's not about talking, it's about domination. Shedeur's not chasing headlines, he's chasing wins, stats, legacy. Travis isn't just trying to make a Pro Bowl, he's trying to change the game. And if you've been paying attention, you already know they're gonna do it together, because when the NFL tried to divide them, they just got tighter. Now here's the real question. How long before the league realizes the mistake it made? How long before they regret giving these two extra motivation? Because if there's one thing we know from watching Travis and Shedeur over the last few years, it's this: when they feel disrespected, they don't fold, they level up. So let's run it back one last time. Travis Hunter, number 2 pick franchise player, used his first national press conference to drag NFL owners for disrespecting his brother, Shedeur Sanders, overlooked, doubted, dragged through narratives. And now lighting up the league with quiet, deadly precision. Coach Prime, watching it all unfold, smiling because he knows what's coming. And the NFL, they're about to find out the hard way. So tell me this, do you think Travis Hunter was right to call out the league? Was Shedeur Sanders disrespected because of who his dad is? Or was this just business as usual? And most importantly, do you think the league is ready for what's coming? Because Travis and Shedeur, they're not just playing games, they're building something bigger, and the world's about to witness it, live and unfiltered. Hey, if you've made it this far and you love real stories like this, the fire, the drama, the truth behind the headlines, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button right now. There's more coming, and you don't want to miss what happens next.